Hi. Before we begin today's episode, we want to let you know that this conversation will include difficult and sensitive topics, including intimate partner violence. This content may be difficult for some audience and most audiences to listen to. Please listen at your own discretion, as well as if you need support, definitely reach out. How do you care for someone, or both of them, and love them when you're in the sandwich years? Because at this time now, they're passing. Do you have kids already?
Not yet. When my father passed, I was married without children.
Okay.
I go to the hospital. I find out at the hospital he's got cancer and how bad it is. I go into the room and he's there and he's lucid and he's talking to me with kindness and love. And this was so odd because I'm like, am I in the Twilight Zone? What is happening?
All my youth has been like this, and then all of it.
But I got a glimpse of this man that I knew before I was 5 years old.
Okay.
That far back. A glimpse of this kindness and love that I remembered before it all started. And I felt so much compassion. So I said to that principal, this is what's been going on in my house. Yeah, I've been up at night because of the fighting, because of this, because of that. I'm sitting at the table that night and she turns to him and says, Nancy's principal called today. And he said, why? Now keep in mind, my father had a mechanical garage. Mm-hmm. During the day, you would think he was a saint. He didn't start drinking until after 5 when he got home.
When you mentioned first and foremost that you said something at school, I'm like, because back then, it's like, thank you, Nancy. Let me call your parents.
Yeah.
And let's not call everyone else. Let's call the parents to validate your story.
Yeah.
And that sets off alarms. Nowadays, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, there are people in support units that they bring in first.
Yeah.
And then everybody's under investigation as opposed to you.
A tornado in my stomach, always. I was always waiting for, if I looked at him the wrong way, what did that mean? Was that a backhand across the table? If I said the wrong thing, did the belt come out? Like what? It was just so violent and sporadic and you never knew. And I remember her saying to me, I'm going to talk to him tonight and you and your sister are going to be out front playing. And if I tell you to run, you run.
Hi everyone, I'm back with the Sandwich Years. And for those of you who are watching for the first time, the Sandwich Years is when you are taking care of some sort of elderly at the top one. Could be your parents, aunts, uncles, could also be siblings. And then also you're taking care of the bottom one, which could be your own children, could be your nieces, nephews, could be some sort of youth that you're supporting in some shape or fashion. And then we've now moved over a little bit to the fur babies, because to be quite honest, you can't leave those fur babies home when you go on vacation. So they are actually also a dependent. And so you're in the middle. And so you're squeezed and blessed. And so today I have a friend with me and her name is Nancy. So welcome, Nancy.
Thank you.
Nancy, can you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
I will. Thank you. Thanks for having me here today. Feeling very blessed to be here. My name is Nancy Henry and I am a counselor with the town of Ajax, Ward 2. And I'm very proud of that. I represent the most diverse ward in the entire region of Durham. Not just Ajax, the entire region of Durham. And that is unique. It's special, unique, and I feel blessed about that.
That's awesome. Okay, so today you're going to tell us a little bit about how you've gone through the Sandwich Years, and you're still in it because we've already talked about that. But let's talk about the Sandwich Years and what that means to you and how you've been juggling and managing that piece. So if we want to start, we'll start with the top one. And so elderlies that you have been supporting or have supported, and how did that look?
So I think I'm a little bit unique and different than some other guests you might have had. I consider myself gone through the Sandwich Years at 2 different stages in my life. So this is not a surprise to many of you. When my mom, God rest her soul, passed in 2023, I brought forth a motion to Ajax Council with regards to intimate partner violence. And during that was a very emotional time for me from personal past experience as a child in my home. And I broke that day. I broke on the council floor. It was a really hard day. And when we look at that motion and we go back to what that means personally, and when you asked me about the sandwich years and your experience, I left home at 17. I went to my grandmother's at 17 for the weekend and never came home.
Oh.
I took a big hockey bag with me for the weekend, and that was it. I ended up living with my grandmother. That was the beginning of my first sandwich years experience. So at that time, at 17 years old, still going to high school, I was taking care of an elderly person who was in their upwards of their 60s, who had mobility issues, who didn't drive. And quite frankly, she was taking care of me. She was my saving grace from a situation that was not good for my mental health or my physical health. And I ended up being her caregiver, shopping, laundry, house cleaning. I did all that, driving to appointments. We were each other's person for a very long time. At 17.
Oh, wow.
For a very long time. And that continued until I got married at the age of 24. So my grandmother, again, God rest her soul, wonderful person. I married a really good man. I came with a lot of scars. I came with a lot of scars. A lot of baggage.
They would say baggage, but I mean...
Yeah, emotional scars. A lot of emotional scars.
And a lot of people come with that. And I think one of the things a lot of people haven't talked about or noticed is sandwich years, people think, oh, you got to be in your 20s, like your 30s, 40s. There are some grandkids that are actually helping out a lot more than we know and see. Yeah. And so I think we need to be cognizant of that because, I mean, your youth was no longer your youth. You were taking care of somebody and somebody who was kind of taking care of you, but not really.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you saw a lot. And I mean, grannies are wonderful. And I mean, I'm sure she didn't want you to do a whole bunch for her, but you had to. Right?
Yeah, I had to because there was no one else in the home. She was home alone. She couldn't get up to the second floor. So the second floor became my space. She was on the main floor.
So you got a bed and everything like that?
Oh, yeah. I was well provided for. I was never not well provided for financially at home. Mm-hmm. We weren't, I always say, I came from lack of money, and that's the truth. Mm-hmm. I did, but I always had a bed. I always had a dresser. My parents, I wasn't in foster care. Some folks had it much worse. But I came from a home of intimate partner violence. My first Christmas memory was my mom lying in the bathtub, calling out for me after my father had beat her within an inch of her life, and she had broken ribs and she couldn't get out of the bath. She took a bath to try to heal the bruising and the pain and couldn't get out of the bathtub. Oh, that's my first Christmas memory. I have much worse memories. And yes, there was physical abuse to me as well. So those things are there, My mom did her best. And she was a very loving, caring person who had a true respect for a very diverse population. She really taught me a lot about acceptance of others and life at a very young age. One of my first best friends was Perminder. I grew up in Toronto, in a very diverse area. I was very blessed like that. To be able to experience people at a young age from many cultures and get to know, even though I've, very rarely left Canada, that there was a whole other world out there filled with beautiful, rich cultures and people. Christian upbringing, but very much my mother was a person that believed in the afterworld, in reincarnation. She spirituality.
She looked for joy where she could find it, based on the fact of what she was dealing with. So
100%.
A lot. So grandma passes.
Grandma was with us for quite a long time, actually.
Okay. So you married.
I married. I moved out.
Okay. And grandma stayed home? No.
Grandma was home. Somebody else, a family member, moved in.
Nice.
So there was always
Someone with grandma.
Perfect.
Perfect.
And then she didn't pass till I was about 27. That was my first real close death. Totally tragic and devastating for me to lose her, because she was my anchor. She was always the person that I knew that if things didn't work out in a marriage, in a relationship, in whatever, and not that, I went into a relationship with failure on the mind, but she was always the person that we knew there was a home, there was a space for.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little difficult. We move into, later in life, my mom, my dad had passed and my mom was on her own. So here's a woman who for many years had endured abuse, physical and mental abuse, at the hands of my father. And they were married for many, many years. But that...
She never left him? She
tried. She tried.
Okay.
Many times. He always found us. He always came for us, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 12 or 13 years old, I was going between grade 6 and grade 7. And I won this honor of being in this science camp. And I was so excited to go because women in science back then wasn't a thing. Mm-hmm. So I was one of the few girls that were chosen. I was like, I'm going to do this. And my mom came to me and she had won, back then Ontario was a big thing. She won $25,000.
Oh, wow.
Right? But she woke up and she came to me and she said, I'm going to leave your dad.
Okay.
And my stomach calmed instantly. Because I was always like a tornado in my stomach, always. I was always waiting for, if I looked at him the wrong way, did that mean? Was that a backhand across the table? If I said the wrong thing, did the belt, it was just so violent and sporadic and you never knew. And I was excited, very excited. We're leaving, right? We're going to start a new life. And I remember her saying to me, I'm going to talk to him tonight. And you and your sister are going to be out front playing. And if I tell you to run, you run. And she had a plan. There was a neighbor around the corner. And we were to go there for safety if it didn't go well. And I said to her, I remember looking at her, and these are things you don't understand when you're a child. And I remember saying to her, Mom, let's just leave. And she goes, I can't. It doesn't work that way. I have to tell him. So I remember being out front and we're playing and I could hear the voices getting louder and louder. And, you're looking, you're like, what's going to happen here? And then this god-awful warning and scream at the same time came. And it was like, Nancy, run. And I remember grabbing my sister's hand and I started to run. And his voice came over and he was like, don't you go anywhere. Stop right there, Nancy. And I froze in time and I had my back and I was away from the house halfway down the street and my mom screamed again, run, Nancy, run. And I just grabbed my sister and ran. And we got to safety and we got to a neighbor's house and we waited. And we were there for what seemed like eternity when you're a kid, because all I thought is, oh my God, is she alive? Is she dead? Oh my God, is she alive? Is she dead? And then she came and I was like, she's alive. Thank God she's alive, right? Yeah. But in that time period, we didn't know. So this is a woman who was like through so much. And then, time went, he passed, I got away.
So question, if you don't mind me asking. There's no forgiving, but when he passed, what did he pass of?
So I'm kind of glad you asked me that. So he ended up dying of cancer.
Okay.
And it wasn't a nice death. And he was in the hospital. And I remember going to see him. And
you went to see him?
I did go to see him. I walked in the room. And keep in mind, we got away from him that summer. I should go back to that. We got away from him that summer. We were gone the whole summer. We were homeless, basically living out of hotels, couch surfing. Everywhere we went, he seemed to find us. We had to move again and again for safety. We ended up with family in Coburg. We spent the summer there. I was so happy. My sister was miserable. I used to hide her in the closet when the fighting started and the violence. So she never really saw it. And she was 3 to 4 years younger than me.
And so she didn't even really understand what was going on.
I don't think she did.
And you know what? It's interesting because this conversation talks about more of home life before you have to then take care of your parents kind of thing,
Yes.
which makes it very different. Like
Yes.
that's why your story is very different, because it's how do you love someone or show them love when you've
been through that.
Yeah. And it's not that you don't love them, but you kind of question the relationship. I'm not going to lie. You're questioning the relationship. And so for your dad, at least, you went to visit. Did you forgive and just sort of be like, rest in peace? Or
it was really weird because I never had to take care of him per se. Okay. Right? Like he controlled the house. He controlled the money. He told her what she could do. And keep in mind, she worked for him for years at his garage. She was a bookkeeper.
Okay.
She taught me bookkeeping, right? Accounting. Like this, she was the backbone of his businesses, but yet he never paid her a paycheck. He gave her an allowance, right? And that's part of the money and the control of that relationship. And then, you know, when he got sick, and she said he was sick, and I ended up going to the hospital because I ended up speaking to a social worker because he never said he had cancer. He never told us that. And she never told us that. But she was only ever allowed to give the information that he permitted. And that's how the relationship always was.
Wow.
And that goes so far back as to, I'm going to jump back again. When I was in school, elementary school, one day the principal calls me in and he says, Nancy, you're falling asleep in class. You live a half a block from the school. You're late every morning. What's going on? Everything okay at home? This was a very important life lesson for me about what could be talked about. I know this now. I didn't know this then.
Yeah.
In an intimate partner violent situation in the house. So I said to that principal, you know, this is what's been going on in my house.
Oh.
Yeah. I've been up at night because of the fighting, because of this, because of that. I'm sitting at the table that night. My father always sat here. I would always sit where you're sitting, round table. And my mom's standing at the kitchen counter. And she turns to him and says, Nancy's principal called today. And he said, why? Now, keep in mind, my father had a mechanical garage. Mm-hmm. During the day, you would think he was a saint. He didn't start drinking until after 5 when he got home. And he serviced all the Toronto teachers of the area, Graham Cable trucks, which were like Rogers Cable now, Toronto police vehicle. Like he
did his customer service, and he owned a business. Yeah. So I mean, it's, how do I say? You don't see what's in closed doors.
You don't see it.
And when you mentioned first and foremost that you said something at school, I'm like, oh, because back then, it's like, thank you, Nancy. Let me call your parents.
Yeah.
And let's not call everyone else. Let's call the parents to validate your story.
Yeah.
And that sets off alarms. Nowadays, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, there are people in support units that they bring in first.
Yeah.
And then everybody's under investigation as opposed to you.
Yeah.
And so
you are so smart and so accurate, because that's exactly the mistakes of the past that led to the protocols that are in place now that are protecting children. Yep. You are 100% right. And I sat there and I watched him look at my mother and he looked at me with a death stare, and he looked at my mother and he said, you go into that school tomorrow and you fix this situation. We went into the school. I didn't sleep all night. I was deathly scared of what was going to happen. And I sat there and the principal talked to my mom and he said to her, you know, Nancy's saying this and this and this happened. And she turned with a straight face, not a tear in her eye, and said, Nancy has a very vivid imagination. And I sat there and I felt the world fall out beneath my feet. Yeah. And I thought, my God, nobody will ever believe me if I tell them. They're not going to believe me. Yeah. I am stuck in this life till I can get out. There's no, and you know what? I hated her for that moment. And that pains me to say because my mother was everything to me, but I hated her for that because I thought, what have you damned us to? Yeah. You have damned us to this, and I didn't ask for this.
And her hands were
they were tied, and I never understood that.
Until you get older, that's when you sit there and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Okay, that is why that happened. And
Yeah.
that is what will happen. So, I mean, thank you for sharing these
Yeah.
stories, because this gives some insights. Now, the question is,
Yeah.
how do you care for someone, like both of them,
Yeah.
and love them when you're in the sandwich years? Because at this time now, they're passing. Do you have kids already?
I have a daughter. She's 19 and she's fabulous.
So no, when they were passing away, did you have kids already?
No, not yet. When my father passed, I was married without children.
Okay.
I go to the hospital. I find out at the hospital he's got cancer and how bad it is. I go into the room and he's there and he's lucid and he's talking to me with kindness and love. And this was so odd because I'm like, am I in the Twilight Zone? What is happening here?
All my youth has been like this, and then all of it.
But I got a glimpse of this man that I knew before I was 5 years old.
Okay.
That far back. A glimpse of this kindness and love that I remembered before it all started. And I felt so much compassion and calmness. And for a few days while he was in the hospital, I had some time alone with him. We got to sit and talk. And I felt that love come back.
Okay.
That anger, that fear put aside. And I felt control. And I felt compassion and empathy. And I was like, that's my dad.
Yeah.
That I remember from so long ago, for such a brief time in my life, before the alcoholism got out of control.
Before everything,
the violence, all of it.
So at this point in time, I guess this is where the catalyst of sort of, you sit there and go, I want more of this. Can I have more of this? But he's dying now.
He's dying.
And so you have to come to terms.
He's not admitting at the time that he's dying. You know, he's still like, I'm going to survive this. I'm going to
try. And at this point you want to help
try.
him.
He's saying, I am going to survive this. The doctors are wrong. He's not accepting.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the truth for him. He ended up dying of cancer. He had liver cancer, he had lung cancer, and his death was not, it came quick within 3 months.
Okay. Of actual diagnosis and everything like that.
Yeah. And we lost, it was a really hard year because Kevin's father, who, by the way, let's jump back for a minute. The house that I ran to that day when I was a child.
That's not your husband's house.
That is my husband's aunt's father-in-law's house. And I never knew my husband all those, like through that whole time period. I met him at a party like many, many years later. But his Aunt Rita, I grew up calling my Aunt Rita my whole life. I didn't know.
The world is small.
It's small. It's like
small. And you know what?
Yeah.
People are put in your path for a reason. I totally believe that. And
100%.
If anybody knows my story, you'll hear similar stories, like me and my husband, how we met and the nuances there. But the world is small.
It's very small.
So, I mean, Aunt Rita was looking out for both of you.
She was there.
And she didn't recognize that it was and so family and friends, neighbors sometimes, and neighbors with big hearts. Yeah. I think one of the things I hear from your story is we got to watch out for the kids. They're dealing with a lot. And sometimes it's silently. Yeah. And they don't know who to trust or can they trust anybody. Great thing is there are systems in place nowadays, which is good. Yeah. But when you're noticing something, and also if you're in a role with power, and you can actually pick up on nuances with kids, if you're like a teacher or youth, and you can pick up on nuances. Like it doesn't make sense that a kid comes to school first thing in the morning and is falling asleep. Yeah. Something's got to happen. Like there might be a pattern and things like that. Just reaching out an olive branch sometimes helps. And then maybe you can shed some light and some love to someone else. So your story tells us a lot.
There's a lot. And
there's a lot there.
There's a lot for improvement over the years. And keep in mind, there was major police reports over this time that verified all of this. And yet my mom knew that if she went into that school and he lost business over it, and it was a financial consequence, that it was over for all of us.
Oh, it's beyond
She
that.
protected.
It's beyond
right?
that, because also you need to go back home.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, at the end of the day, I strongly urge anybody who is going through domestic, you need to get help, but you need to find it in a way that can gradually protect yourself, because it's not something that you can easily do right away.
It takes planning.
Yes.
To leave that type of environment takes planning. And I was at an intimate partner violence gathering this morning for the women that were massacred in Montreal. And we had somebody get up from DSB, the Catholic School Board. And we know Horizon House exists for protection. We know there's places like that. We know Luke's Place is going to offer you the legal advice you need to help you through this. But there's this one organization I was unaware of, and I'm redoing my website now, so I'm going to make sure it's on there and everybody can find it. And they're a one-stop shop where they will get you to the counseling, they'll get you the help, they'll get you everything. They'll get you someone to take care of your kids while you're going for counseling, so you can be in that moment and get through and get the help you need. They're going to do they are doing a one-stop shop, and I'm going to put it all on my website so women can find it. Growing up the way I did, experiencing what I did, I never want to see another kid go through that. And I'm sad that at the age of 55, I'm still talking about this in a way that needs to be meaningful, impactful for the women that are out there. It's really sad. So we step ahead, the last sandwich year of my life, which was my mom. And we go into, I had a good last end of my life with my mom, taking care of her. Okay.
Did she live with you?
She did not want to live with me. She wanted to be on her own and
in
independent.
The same house?
No, that house, that house is gone.
Okay.
They redid it. And I never felt so much relief in my life as when I saw that house demolished. Yeah. Because I felt like so much pain was gone with that house. Yeah. And then we got her in an apartment. She had very little money. My dad basically left her nothing. We got her into a geared to rent apartment in Ajax, across from the hospital. And she lived there 5-6 years, had a really good life there. We did her groceries and her shopping. We had PSWs coming in. And, God bless those PSWs, because they are doing God's work. Yep. They are wonderful human beings. And they helped us through that sandwich year part of the life where we're getting older, she's getting older. I still have a child at home that has disabilities. We're trying to manage it all. I'm going into an election. She lived long enough to see me win the election.
Yay! And that's the pride of a parent as well. So
she was so proud. And she passed in her home in 2023. And she talked about my father and she called it her hell life with PSWs. She tried to talk about it with me.
Too close.
I couldn't. I said, Mom, I love you. And, we've buried Dad. And I've been through therapy. But I talk about it once in a while. But most of the time I keep it buried. Because how do you function every day if you live in that? I have to put it in a box sometimes and walk away from that pain. I let it out. Today I let it out because we were at an event earlier today. So you got the raw Nancy Henry. You got the vulnerable Nancy Henry.
And you know what? We are grateful for that. Yeah. And I think today's episode more talks about, I'm going to be honest, baggage we get from our youth that we then have to live with in our sandwich years and figure out how to deal with it all. Yeah. And so, I'm calling it baggage because we all got baggage. No one's, I seldom hear someone say, I grew up perfect. I definitely grew up very well. Like, I'm not gonna lie here. But there are things that we grow up with, either culturally, physically, mentally, and then we bring it into our sandwich years and we got to unpack it. Yeah. And then we have to take care of those who taught us these things.
Yes. Yes.
And then once we take care of those, we've got to unpack it and then also pack it back in a box so we can function every day.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, Nancy, you have a family and you're everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to see you everywhere, but you got to have time for family. So how do you navigate all that? Out of curiosity, so we can give tools to other people who are sitting there going, hey, I got my baggage, I unpack my baggage, I take care of everybody, and then now I have to take care of myself and my family.
It's a challenge. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say I have all the answers because I don't. There is a sink load of dishes waiting for me after this. I'm not going to lie to you folks, okay?
So
laundry,
you can get
all of it.
Right? You can get help with that. You know that, right? Like there's cleaning companies you can hire to do stuff like that.
I don't believe in that. It's my home, my responsibility, right?
But there are help. And I think that's the one thing is when you're in the sandwich years or coming out of the sandwich years, get help. To get some things done. So, and also you trade off priorities, right? The dishes will get done because you need dishes, right?
They'll get done when they get done. You know what? I got a budget to go through. I got a GGC meeting. I've got emails. I've got people that need help. When I came out with my story back in 2023, I had women reaching out to me in the Ajax community that needed to be prioritized at that time.
Yeah.
And I got them to the help they needed. For my home life, my husband said to me 2 weeks ago, will I see you today? I said, I love you dearly, but no. I'll see you tomorrow, darling. But our daughter...
But you have good support.
I have good support. My husband's amazing. And our daughter is our top priority.
Nice.
We prioritize making sure that she has the best life that we can give her. We drive her to and from school. We move meetings. We move things to make sure that she's got what she needs. And in turn, she's always there for us. We're a very tight-knit family of 3. And when it's important, I make time.
Perfect. I just want to make sure. So the husband of Nancy, I just was looking out for you. The dishes, we're okay with. But Nancy, thank you so much for sharing today. And today was a little heavy. I didn't give the trigger notice, but I will also mention that I'll put it in the notice. But good tips and good things to think about.
100%.
Because there's lots that everybody's dealing with, and it's not identical.
No.
But definitely making sure that you can actually be there, listen, and help people, I think is one of the key things I got from this session. So
100%.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for shedding some light on more than just because you're right, it was a heavy conversation, and sometimes that's needed. And you are fabulous, and you're great at this.
Thanks. So tune in next time. Comment in the box. But also what we will do is probably have Nancy back next year, potentially, if she has time for us, to talk a little bit about more of the sandwich year. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.